Okay, welcome back. I have internet again. And we're going to finish out the second base tutorial.
So that your colonists can breathe properly in the high gravity environment. One thing about colonists is that over time your colonists will grow and learn to become specialized in various fields. We spoke briefly about your basic pioneers and that they will be the backbone for your starting industries. These colonists operate extraction machinery and basic buildings like food processors, farms, and introductory manufacturing plants. The next tier population is the settler population type, and the settlers are more specialized in nature and will operate chemical plants, metal studios, glass furnaces, and even 3D printers. Keep in mind that settlers have additional consumption habits, which you can examine in the workforce tile. You can see the essential commodities they consume under the essential column, and if it's labeled with a yes, that means it's essential. The next colonist type is the technicians, and you will often need them when building labs, software development facilities, clean rooms, and other more advanced buildings. The next is the engineer, and this is the first class of colonists that move away from requiring rations to consume, and will require flavored instant meals. They will be required when building advanced material labs, software engineering, or spacecraft prefab plants. And finally, the most advanced colonist is the scientist, which will require quality meat meals to consume, and will work on spacecraft propulsion factories and Einsteinium enrichment plants. If you want to explore the galaxy and find planets that have the population type you require, you can use the map filter to filter planets by population type, and see where the greatest quantity of a population resides. However, just because a population resides on that planet does not mean that you will immediately receive those population types. It's always good to open up a population report, which you can find in the planet tile, and examine what populations are on that planet. If a planet has a population type that has a large unemployment stat, it is safe to say that that planet has room for you to settle. However, you will only gain those population types based on an equal distribution of that population type, meaning that if a planet grew by 500 engineers next population report, those 500 engineers would be equally distributed by how many other users require those population types. Keep in mind as well that it might be a good idea to contact the governor of a planet and understand what their intentions are behind a certain population type. All population types require buildings to upkeep them, but that topic will be discussed in the next guide. For now, it is important to understand if a governor has plans to grow a population type either through administration or education. A governor always has incentive to grow an advanced population, as that means more tax revenue for them. But depending on the market, there might be some incentive to keep the growth flat for the time being. Always inquire. Well, this has been the Apex second base and population types guide, and it's been
fascinating.
As the Apex module. So this video broadcast will now be concluded.
Talk to the governor about their intentions of the population. Wow, that's pretty deep. Okay, Space Empires.
Hello, and welcome back to Apex. And thank you for choosing the Apex Space Empire Guide. This is the advanced guide detailing your next steps in the galaxy with regards to the continuation of your corporation and the eventual construction of your empire through space. After a few months of time, you might be inquiring as to what's up on the horizon for you as a CEO. And to say that there is a one-size-fits-all answer to that would be a misstep, because there are various avenues to take when starting to reach the finalization of your mid-game goals. One of the very first instincts that many users take is researching and understanding for themselves more advanced commodities to construct. These commodities can be broken up into 4 subcategories: consumables, fabrications, ship parts, and planetary consumables. Each one of these 4 sub-professions are mutually exclusive enough that diving headfirst into one of them is a wise choice towards your path to empire building. Let's start with consumables. As mentioned in the previous tutorial, more advanced populations will require special consumables to live off of. By diving into this industry, you are providing the backbone for other users to jump off into more specialized construction projects. While you might not find yourself producing super specialized products, consumables can be very lucrative and you can charge a premium for them, which then you can use to ramp up your production or invest into another product vertical. Now, these consumable factories don't run without sturdy walls to hold them up. So the next sub-profession is the fabrications, and it is a great empire goal, as many players will need B, L, R, and A fabs to construct the buildings that they wish to build. A nice pro behind this empire goal is that most of the late game fabs required will be constructed from technician populations, and it's only the A fabs that require engineers to build them, meaning that this investment has a strong possibility of efficient scaling if quantity is your goal. And most of each tier of fabrication links smoothly into the tier below it, so setting up logistical production chains is fairly convenient to do. Although consumables and fabrications have their challenges to set up production for, nothing beats ship parts in terms of the sheer complexity of production. Requiring knowledge of the vast production chains, building ships is considered to be the pinnacle endgame activity for empire building. However, it isn't for users that like venturing into the galaxy alone, and it's often recommended to users to find 5 or more users to coordinate with. But the pros of working together to solve a monumental task and the benefit of fleet expansion makes it a highly incentivizing stretch goal for endgame users. But none of this would be possible without the infrastructure that makes these planets run smoothly, and that's where the option of planetary consumables comes from. In the galaxy, there are 2 subcategories of planets, those that are governed and those that are ungoverned. Governed planets will have a voted-in governor that will manage the week-to-week operations of a planet. Users with pro licenses can run for governor themselves by selecting the Run button in the Planetary Administration Center. If elected governor, the governor will then make decisions on a number of key infrastructure and administrative projects based on what the users that voted them in wanted. However, this infrastructure requires a specialized subset of consumables to function properly, and if these consumables don't make it to that planet, the working populations on that planet will start to diminish through immigration. So, to stave off this migration, governors will need to employ a network of producers to produce these goods, which will then be bought and used by the governor for the furtherance of the planet's development. One final subcategory of a CEO's journey to empiredom is the possibility of being elected a governor of a planet. While it might not be as galaxy-spanning as a production empire, governing a planet can be quite a daunting task, and isn't for the faint of heart. If you gained enough community support and were awarded the governorship of a planet, your first step would be to set the local rules. You can find the local rules in the planet tile of your now governed planet. From here, you can set the production fees for various population types and industries within the galaxy. These fees will then be collected and paid out as a dividend. However, be careful to make sure to set your corporation as the collecting corporation for said dividend. After you have set the local rules, your next step would be to review the infrastructure projects currently on the planet. Each population type will require a different level of need fulfillment for that population to either grow or not migrate away. To stave off migration, a population-specific need fulfillment has to be above 50%. If you wish to grow pioneer populations, you will need to keep life support and safety fulfilled. If you wish to grow settler populations, you need to keep life support, safety, and health fulfilled. Technicians require health, safety, and comfort. Engineers require comfort and culture. And finally, scientists require education, culture.
Oh wow, that's kind of cool.
These needs will need to be fulfilled above 70% to see growth start to take place. Keep in mind, though, that there is a possibility for a population to shrink if the unemployment of that population gets too high. So it's important to keep a watchful eye on the quantity of these populations and make sure there's enough jobs for everybody. Another component to keep aware of when growing populations is that engineers and scientists are the only two populations that will shift from lower population types. Meaning that if you wanted to grow engineers or scientists, they will need to come from the other populations currently on your planet. How you fulfill these needs for your populations or desired populations is by building the required building needed to fulfill the need they require. You can see information about the infrastructure project by selecting it. From this new tile that opened, you can see what need it fulfills, but more importantly, what consumable this building will consume to keep that effect that that building provides. If you wish for a bigger effect, you can upgrade the building, but keep in mind that more of the same building will mean that the consumable requirements will also go up. Another administrative line item that requires a great deal of consumables from a governor, and is generally considered one of the more important items to maintain, is the COGC, or the Chamber of Global Commerce. It is here that planetary membership votes on a COGC effect, which will then provide a 25% buff to all production of a certain industry. While the governor can sway the vote through incentivizing community members to vote a certain way, the governor has the responsibility of upkeep of the COGC. If not kept up, this 25% buff no longer has its effect, and you might have some upset membership you might have to answer to. One last duty of the governor of a planet is the optional implementation of a program. These are a series of beneficial programs that a governor can purchase, which will then help the planet's inhabitants or aggressively entice a certain population type to immigrate to the planet. This has been the Apex Space Empire Guide, and has been indicated as complete by the Apex module. So this video broadcast will now be concluded. And thank you for choosing the advanced system for the facilitation of production and exchange for the exodus of mankind.
And that is it. That is all the tutorials. So I think at this point I'm going to shift back over here and fill as much of the area as I can. So it seems like I'm topping out at 500 here, but I guess really what it's saying is I need to develop more of it. Yeah, so see like this area bar. Yeah. Turn something off real quick. Okay, yeah, you can see that. Yeah, so this area bar needs to be a lot higher. And that probably just happened. I don't know, like, how do I accelerate that? Not really sure. At this point, I just know I'm supposed to be trading. And I know my refinery. 10 minutes. Oh man, okay, well, I guess I can just, like, do another order, right? So, yeah, I'll just, like, set another 100. Yeah, and it scales. Yeah, so I'll just do another 5 hours. Could do 2. Right? Friction fee. I have plenty of units in store. Yeah. Make some FTL fuel. Oh wait, no. STL. There we go. And we're mining the rocks, so we'll be fine. Cue the order. Nice. Okay, cool. So that's it. We're still doing stuff. As far as I know, that's all I can really do, because otherwise it's construct a new building. Don't really have anything to do that. So, yeah. Alright, well, I am like falling asleep because I have not slept in like 22 hours, so I'm gonna get a couple hours of sleep before I start my day. But thank you for watching. This is a really unique game. There's not a lot of people making videos about it, so make sure to subscribe. I'm gonna definitely keep playing this game. It is the pinnacle. I've never found anything else quite like it, so I will be evangelizing it to my friends, and I will be continuing to play it, especially now that it's like honestly way less intimidating. Now that I understand like what most of these oh my god, what are we calling them? Items, blocks? What most of these frames are. What most of these commands are. And it's really such a beautiful setup. Really never seen anything else like this. To be honest, the only game that I've come across that even comes close is probably Airline Sim, which, funny enough, was actually made by the same company. But anyway, oh, and my internet's going out again, so now is a perfect time to stop.